All right. You're live. Let me just pull up my Facebook so I can see.
Awesome. Hello.
Hey everyone, welcome to Live with Lynn Lilly. Today we are hacking two of our beloved winter box items. I would say, I think for me, the Wreath is my favorite.
Yeah, I really like the Wreath too. But it's good for winter, but I got some ideas on how you can switch it up for spring. But you know what I think my ultimate favorite product is? The tray. The tray.
The tray is definitely very versatile. I agree with
right?
you.
I think for sure you can use it year round. And I'm going to show you today like a fun hack that doesn't like change the color of it, damage it, anything. So you can keep switching it out for every season and do the same thing that we're doing today, all through summer, fall, and then back into the holidays.
Great. Before we begin, everyone, I'd love you to say hi, where you're from in the comments so we can give you a proper welcome, just to see who's on with us today. Mary says hi from Maryland.
Hey, Mary. Hi.
Comments are slowly coming in here.
Well, those of you that don't know, I am based in Atlanta, and it's very cold here today, but I know probably not nearly as cold as it is for some of our friends in the Midwest and the Northeast. But here we're freezing. It was like 33 degrees this morning. And I know you guys are in Florida, so you guys feel the same when it gets cold.
Okay, so we had the cold like earlier this week, and now it's like
it's coming to us.
Yes, so, you're welcome to take it from us. We don't want it.
We don't want it either, and it's only getting colder here. So that's why I like these spring crafts, so we can channel the spring vibes and all the feels.
Yeah, so you don't look inside, you just look inside your house and you see all your spring decor and you think it's spring.
Yes.
So let's get started. Which one do you want to start with first?
Okay, so we're going to start with the Wreath because that's going to be the one that we're going to do the most work on. So we've got our Wreath, right? Very wintry. And you know what, you might be like, how can I take this to spring? So we're actually going to deconstruct the Wreath. And we're going to use some pieces of it, and then we're going to save some other pieces that we can keep for another project. So go ahead and flip it over. I started working on it just because you need a little muscle. So you're going to see these silver, they're like metal wraps, right? There's actually 3 of them. So I took the 2 off right here so far. So if you want to start working on those, use your pliers. And you really just need to pull them out, okay? And that is how all of your greenery is attached. So you're going to be left with your hoop, right? So we got our hoop, and then we're going to be left with all of our greenery. So once you get that, get it off the Wreath, go ahead and try and get your if you can get your metal piece off, or if you can't get it off, you can always slide out your pieces. Okay, so today's craft will hopefully get everyone excited for the spring box, right? Which is coming soon. So this decor will work with your spring stuff. Okay, so you'll also see that there are some more little metal pieces right here. So you're going to want to work on those as well. Or you can also, if you can also either pull these pieces out, or if you've got a clipper too, you can also clip out what you want to use. So what I like about this is that we're going to use some pieces, but then you can save the rest of this for another project. So maybe you want to save these for next holiday season, next winter. So I'm going to put aside some of the pieces I'm going to use. I'm going to keep our white berries. Even though we have a little bit of flocking on there, I think that'll still work in our spring arrangement. And then I'm going to take off with my clippers. I'm going to take off some of my greenery, and then I'll save the rest.
And just so everybody in here knows, this will be posted on YouTube afterwards if you want to replay it and try this on your own if you're not able to do it right now.
Cool. And then some tips of when you're thinking about your spring florals. Right now, all the craft stores are starting to put out spring florals, and a lot of them are having sales to kick off spring. So now's a good time to stock up. The dollar store also has some really great faux flowers, which is a great money-saving option if you're looking for some faux flowers. All right, so we're gonna take off these. And those of you watching, what is your favorite product from the winter box? I want to know what everyone's favorite product is. And then we could do some shout outs. Okay.
So over here, Deborah and Sharon from BC. Melissa is watching, Melissa from Utah.
Hey, Melissa. Hey, Deborah. Hey, Sharon. Thanks for tuning in. All right. Okay. So get off what you think you're going to use. We're going to keep those. And then I'm going to save this, right? So this is something that you should not throw away. I'm a big believer in saving things. You never know when you're going to use this. So you could pop this in with your holiday decor, save it till next year. So we're going to set that aside. And then we're going to kind of separate what we just took off, because we're going to create the same type of half of an arc like we had on our winter one, but we're going to do it with our spring flowers. So what we just took off, go ahead and kind of separate that into two piles, because we want to make sure that we're going to keep it even on both sides. Okay. So we got some berries there, and then we'll keep that berry in the center, and we may split that one up. We've got some leaves there and some leaves here. Okay, so we got it separated in two of what we are going to keep. Okay. And then when it comes to our other flowers, so I've got some other stuff over here. Now it's up to you how much color you want to bring into it, or if you want to kind of stick with your natural greenery. That's just you picking your style, right? So thinking about the types of flowers, I've got some eucalyptus here, which I'm going to put, I don't think I need the whole thing. So I'm going to kind of take off a piece, and you want to leave some of your stems longer, right? Because we're going to wrap up around our wreath. So we want to have some of those stems. So start laying out each side and how you want it. So we're going to put our eucalyptus in the back over there on that side. And then some of these, again, longer. Whoops, we lost one. And sometimes they pop off and you can pop them back on. We'll see what the stem go for that one. Oh, we'll leave that one off. There we go. So pop on your side on each piece and what you're going to put, and then make sure that you're balancing out the other side as well. So we'll rip off a piece of that.
And are you doing this randomly, or do you have like an idea in mind of what you're trying to do?
So what I like to think about is the cascading effect, right? Okay. So it's going to cascade up and out, even though it's still going to stay along this curve, right? And when I'm picking out my flowers, I don't want to go too crazy in a small arrangement like this. When we do our next project, we're going to go a little bit crazier because we've got more room to work with, but we don't have a ton of space here. So we don't want to go like over the top crazy with all the colors. So we're sticking to greens. We're putting in a little pop of peach and white to keep it simple. So kind of the smaller projects, you want to keep your colors limited to about 3. And I've got another one of these I'll pop in since I pulled that out. And as you're laying it out, you're going to need to layer it, because when we wire these together, we need to make sure that we're going to be able to put wires kind of all throughout. And then last but not least, I've got some of my larger white flowers, which I'm going to put closer to the center. Okay. So you can kind of see what we're working with. Let me clear this space. Yep, Rachel, just go up a little bit on the camera. Yes, you can kind of see my arc here. This is going to be each side. Now, we're going to take some floral wire. So standard floral wire, nothing fancy, right? This is a 22 gauge. Any thinner than that, you might be a little flimsy. So we want to start with a piece and grab your, where'd I put my, there they are. They're hiding. They're camouflaged in there. So let's start with one piece. Okay. And I'm going to start at the bottom of each section, and I'm going to wire these together before I put them on the wreath. It makes it a lot easier. So you want to gather the bottom and get what you can of the stems. Some may not fit in there, right? Because some that might have shorter stems. Okay. And we want to wrap around, and I'm going to go around probably almost like 6 or 7 times. And you want to kind of wrap it as tight as you can so that it stays together when you leave it go. And if you've got an extra, you can go longer. It's totally fine. However long of a piece you cut, but probably at least need to go around like 6 to 7 times. Okay, so we'll start there. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side.
Just to check in with everyone here,
Yeah.
the comments are pretty much exactly what we're doing today. The tray and the wreath are people's favorites.
Okay. Well, we let everyone vote on the projects. So, and we picked the ones that they wanted. So that makes sense, right?
Yes.
All right. So I'm going to get my second little arrangement for the next side. I'm going to gather these pieces right here. And I'm going to wrap too. Okay. All the way around. Remember, at least 6 to 7 times. And then, okay, so now we'll see what is going to stay together. It looks like this one piece is a little bit shorter on this side. So I'll take another piece of wire and I'm going to wrap in any of the shorter stemmed pieces. So if you do have pieces that are shorter, go ahead and try and wrap them in. And you want these to stay together, right? So we want to wrap kind of through. And we're using green wire so that it's camouflaged in there so you don't notice it too much. And we can always like fluff around it if you do see it. We can kind of fluff our flowers, but we want to make sure that we get all those shorter stems in there. And then remember, most of these stems are flexible, so you can kind of bend as needed. All right, so we've got one side completely wired. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So again, we've got some shorter pieces. We've got these leaves and our little berries that aren't fitting in. So I'm going to cut another one. Okay, I've got a question for everyone, especially our DIYers that are on here. What has been your favorite project that you have made for winter? So even if it's not a hack that you've done on a deco created product, just what in general has been your favorite craft that you made for winter? I would love to know. Tell us in the comments. I like to see, and sometimes I get inspired when you guys say some cool things, right? It's always nice to share the crafty love and share ideas.
It's also nice to take a craft like this and use it year round, not just have it stuck for one holiday and one season.
Yes, absolutely. So that's the nice part about this. We are wiring these guys on so we can switch out our florals per season. And then as I'm wiring, I kind of stop just to make sure that I've got it in the right place and that my whole stem is staying together. And then I'll go ahead and clip it if I've wrapped it enough times. Okay. How you doing over there?
Good.
Got them? Okay, cool. All right. Now we've got our 2 pieces. What we're going to do is we are going to attach them. Now, these working with wire wreaths can be a little tricky, right? Because it gets a little slippery and it might be hard to get your things to stay in place. So we got to wire in multiple places, just like we did when we were putting together each side of our floral arrangement. So you want to lay them where you want. I like to kind of put the 2 bottom ends almost crisscrossing each other. And we're going to cover up that bottom. So don't worry about that. But we're going to cut another piece of wire. And we want to overlap these so that they attach to each other. And we're going to wrap really tight as you can. So as you're wrapping, you want to pull and try to not just wrap in that one place, right? So try and cover the distance of where they overlap. And if for some reason you think you're not wrapping tight enough, you can always unwrap it and start over. Okay. All right. Now you may think, oh, we're done. Nope, because when we would lift it up, it falls, right? So we're not done. So the key to working with these wire wreath frames is that we've got to secure it in multiple places so that it stays when we want to hang it up and it gets the shape that we want. Okay. So, and you can worry about fluffing your flowers when you're done. So we're going to cut another piece of wire and you can really almost go in the same place where if you did a second one to attach some things, you can move in that same place. Or if it's extra long, depending on how long a floral move, you might need to go up a little bit. So if you've got a piece like underneath, like I do right there, towards the top of the arrangement, so it kind of stays in place, we'll wrap around up there. So you kind of just have to hold it up, see where it looks like it's flimsy, especially after you wrap your first
Mhm.
around, see where you think that it's going to flop over the most.
People who don't have this wire, do you think hot glue gun would work, or this is the only option?
So hot glue gun would not work because hot glue doesn't really work when you're attaching something to metal. So what I would recommend doing is using something like a pipe cleaner. That's another good alternative. You can use really any color pipe cleaner. You may just need to get creative with how you hide the pipe cleaner so you don't see them. If you have green, that's obviously preferable. But you can use if you've got white or anything like that. That would help. Another alternative could be a twisty tie. So, you know, there's like twisty ties that come with like party bags or sometimes like kitchen stuff or trash bags. Those type of twisty ties could work. You could also, you may just need to use more depending because you can't wrap them around that many times. You could also use a zip tie.
Okay, great.
That's another option as well. You could use zip ties. That's good. Thank you for asking. I always like to give alternatives just in case people don't have stuff. I will say though, if you do a lot of floral projects or a lot of wreaths, the wire is good to have on hand. And that like one thing of wire has lasted me forever. So there's a good amount on there. It goes a long way. All right. So now, after we've got two, we're going to hold it up. So we do the test. Okay. Looks like we're stable. So we don't have to wrap anymore. Now what we want to do, lay it back down. And we want to kind of fluff and bend our flowers. Put that back on there. And here's a little quick tip too. If your flower comes off like that, you can take some hot glue and just add a dot of hot glue. Sometimes after, if you've had some faux flowers for a while, they may go rogue and fall off. Just add a dot of hot glue and pop it back on that stem. That'll help it stay. And fluff to cover up any of that wire that you may have, and you can kind of carefully bend your flowers as you need to.
Like pull it apart and just make it look fuller, right?
Yeah, so just make it look a little fuller, and then you can kind of bend your stems as needed to make sure that you don't see any of your wire up top. You're still going to see your wire right here in the center, okay? So that you're still going to see, but we're going to make a bow. So if you've got some ribbon handy, we're going to tie a bow. And that is going to help us cover up that center portion right there. So I've got some wire ribbon here. I believe that this is about a 1.5 inch width. I like wired ribbon when it comes to working with wreaths because I want my bow to have some dimension. And when I mean wires, there's wire on each end of the ribbon. And I chose a green, a springy green, but you can do any color that you would like. And I'm going to cut some off and we're going to tie just a simple bow. This is a smaller wreath. So as much as I like to go crazy with like big bows, I don't want it to overtake the rest of the florals on the wreath. So I want to keep it simple. So we're just going to tie a regular old bow. Bring our loops through. And I always like to leave extra on my tails because I don't know how long I want them until I usually get it on my wreath. So always give yourself, it's nice to have a little extra versus not enough. I can do this towards you guys so you can see it. All right, how's everyone doing?
Would you hang this, you think, on a back door, front door? What's your wreath of choice of hanging?
Yeah, so I have a really big front door. So I usually like to hang my smaller wreaths inside. So even putting them on like the outside of a bathroom door, I think is nice. So like when the door's closed, you see it. Or even on the inside of like our back door that goes out to our porch. I think people forget that you can put wreaths inside, right? And even if you can't put a wreath hanger over the door, you can always use a command hook, which is nice, right? So one of those removable command hooks can work really, really great. So I've got my bow. Now, I am going to use hot glue because I'm going to hot glue my bow to my stems, right? So I'm not gluing it to the actual wreath form. Now, here's another tip. If you are going to put this outside and your door gets hit by a lot of sunlight, even in the winter, you don't want to use hot glue because what happens is when hot glue gets activated by the sun, right, it melts and your bow will fall off. So you'd want to use more of an industrial glue something like an E6000 or a power tack is what you would want to use. So if you're going to put this on a door that gets hit by a lot of sun, skip the hot glue and use the industrial glue. All right, bow is on. And once our bow is on, then you can trim it. So however long you want your tails to be. And then I always like to fold it in half and cut at an up angle.
Okay.
To get a nice finished end to the bow. So nice little finished end, just adds a little bit more of a professional look.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then do we have any professional wreath makers watching? Because I know there's a lot of people that are like, may not sell them, but are pretty good at making wreaths. I'd love to know if we do, because I love wreaths. It's one of my favorite crafts. Okay, now we could stop here. Luckily gun strings out, so we could stop here, but we are going to take one of our little woodland creatures. You know what, these are one of my, I like all the products in the box. These are really cute too. I always forget that these are a fave because they're so versatile. You can use them for so many different things. So we're going, right? Like these are so stinking cute. You can use any of them, right? So I've got the bear. The bear to me is a little more wintry, but the fox too, that fox is adorable. We're going to use this one and we're going to glue that to the top of the ribbon and the top of the stems. So okay. Here and here, okay? Because we want it to sit flat on there, all right? So you might need a good amount of glue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my glue in two places, right? So I'm going to do some right here on the top, and then I'm also going to put some on the bottom. Okay. You can, if you don't want to glue this directly to it, you can also always wire it in. So if you want to glue wire to your woodland creature, you can then use wire to tie it on.
And you think it would still stay up?
Yeah, as long as you pull the wire super tight, yes. All right, so we're gonna I'll let that one sit and dry for a minute, but you can see I've also got another one. This is a little bit different of a look up here as well, hanging on the fireplace. So some of it, you'll notice some of these other decorated pieces from previous boxes. And I don't know if anyone remembers our last hack that we did live. We did some fun stuff with lemons. I remember we painted a shelf and then we had the lemon print. We put that in the back of the shadow box frame. So what do you guys think? How did yours turn out? Let me see.
I'm still working on it. I'm a little slow, but I'm making it. That's okay. Around.
I love it. That's the idea, right? So we give you an idea to start with and then inspire you, and you can kind of take your own direction with it.
Yeah.
But if you guys liked it, give us a heart, give us a thumbs up. We always love feedback. I always like to see what you guys like.
Hack number 2.
All right, so hack number 2. All right, we're gonna set this one here so you can kind of see, look, he's pretty much dry. How cute, right? Okay. All right, so now hack number 2, you're gonna need a lot more florals for hack number 2. And we're gonna get you started on hack number 2. And this is one that's gonna take you a little bit longer. So I wanna kind of give you the basics to it and then you can keep going with it. Now, we've got our tray. We've got some foam pieces. And I've got some packing tape. So this is optional, but I wanted to show you to give you an idea. Foam pieces, you can use any type of foam. You can use if you've got wet foam for floral, you can use it dry. If you've got regular styrofoam, you can use that too. So I've got both just to show you that you can use either or. You can also
matter, or is brick okay too?
Shape does not matter.
Okay.
It does not matter. You're not going to see it. As long as it is a type of foam. So wet foam, styrofoam, something that you can stick your florals into, doesn't matter. You can also get this at the dollar store, which I like. Super cheap. Now, I have mine in the package still. So if you haven't unwrapped it yet, this is a nice little hack, a hack of the hack. Use some packing tape. So put a piece of packing tape rolled on the bottom, and I'll roll a piece to show you, to hold it in your tray. You can just set your foam in your tray, but if you're worried about it moving around while you're working on it, use a piece of clear packing tape. Keep the packaging on because you can stab right through that packaging when you're putting your florals in, and the tape won't stick directly to your foam, but you can also glue your foam in if you would like, or just set it in there. So I'm gonna actually put that right there. Keep my plastic on so it sticks. And any shape will work. So you can do rectangle, square, whatever you have, even if you just have pieces, like random pieces left over from other projects, that will work too. Thing is, you just want to give yourself a base to start working on, okay? So we're not damaging the tray so that you can easily just pull this out if you want to use it for something else for another season. That's why I like this hack. We can always come back to what it originally was. Now, I have a ton of flowers. Got them all right here in my little work trays. So to get started and prep yourself before you start on these, I'm gonna try and make some room. I'm gonna move my wreath a second. You want to go ahead and prep your flowers. Make it easier on yourself. Go ahead and cut them off the bunches and trim them down a little bit. So you'll notice they're a little bit shorter than they would be if they were on a big stem like this. So prep flowers out. When you're picking out your flowers, you also want to think about colors, right? So we're doing a bigger arrangement, so we can use more colors. So you can see I went with some yellows, some pinks, some whites, some greens. So kind of you can go anywhere from like 3 to 4 colors as long as they're kind of in the same coordinating family. And 2 ways to go about starting this. If you want to do it really heavily on greenery, so if you want it to be a lot of this style greenery, start with your greenery and make that the base of your arrangement. If you want it to be the majority of flowers, start with your flowers and do your greenery second, so it works as fillers. So what I like to do is kind of start sporadically throughout, but think about balancing it as you go. So I just stuck a nice little pick of flowers right here on that side. I'm going to balance over on the other side. So it's kind of a balancing act as you go.
You're kind of
and
mirroring
then
both sides together.
Yes, absolutely. So
Okay.
you want to kind of look, and then I'm going to go back in my center here. I'm going to add that guy. The nice part about this floral foam is that you can easily pull these out. So once you get started, if you look at it and you're like, I don't really like it, pull them out and move them, right? It's not permanent. So I start kind of balancing each side as I go, because I don't want to go too heavy, especially like if you run out of flowers. You don't want to have all your flowers on one side and then not have enough for the other side. So think about that as you go through. I'm going to put some down here.
Lynn, where would you place this after it's done? Where do you think the best place viewers can use this for spring?
So for me, it would be putting it on my dining room table, because I think it looks great right in the center. Pop a simple table runner under it if you want, or it could look great right on a regular wood table. You could even put some of the gold votives that I think did the gold votives in the tray come, was that 2 boxes ago? Was that fall?
That was
when that one.
I think it was summer, but Mara,
was it summer?
You know, I'm just like,
yeah. So
it's okay. We mix the boxes up all the time. Don't worry.
I know, right? But so you can add some of those other things to it as you go. Now you want to keep filling in. I know we're getting close to time, so I'm going to show you what it looks like when you get done, and some pointers for filling in as you go. You want to stop and take pictures when you get close to the end. So I'm going to show you this one over here. So we've got a full one here, and you kind of see I took a circular shape to it, and it's both sides, right? So I made it, if you're going to be doing a circular table, you can kind of see around the entire thing. Now you want to stop and take a photo of it, because you've looked at it for so long that you may miss some of the bald spots or little places where you can see through to the foam. Take a picture and look at the picture. I say to do that with any type of floral arrangements, even wreaths. And you kind of see some of those things that you didn't see with your natural eye. And then when you get close to the end, you can see I put in here some moss. So if you've got some moss or some filler, that'll help you hide that styrofoam if you see any of it around the bottom. But I mean, look, pick it up. How nice is that? So and pretty. Then if you want to change it out, right, you just pop out your styrofoam. So this is great. Even for like a sun porch, I think it would be nice too. Or if you've got a blank spot, maybe in the corner of your kitchen and the counters, that's a nice filler to add a pop of color. All right.
You make it look so easy every time.
Well, hey, I am here to just inspire you and kind of give those
Of
ideas
course.
that you guys can run with making them yourself and to fit your own personal style.
Of course. Thank you everyone for joining us. This video will be on YouTube afterwards, so you can recreate it. And if you do, please be sure to tag both Deco Created and Lilly on Facebook and Instagram so we can see how you hacked it.
Awesome. Yeah, we would love to see your project. So please tag us. I'm at Craftbox Girls.
Happy Thursday, almost weekend. Thanks for joining
Yes!
us.
Bye, everyone.